What's up, people? I am John of Video Games and the World. It's been 4 years since I have left the anti-SJW circle, and to be honest, when I left that toxic circle, I felt free. I felt more free than ever before since leaving the anti-SJW circle. But since I started criticizing them, and also when I made that two-part essay of Have Video Games Gone Woke, link in the description, some people would say that I am now an SJW clown, I'm a beta male, I'm a simp, I have gone woke, I have become one of the woke scolds that they hate so much. But the truth is, it's the anti-SJWs that became what they truly hate in the first place. For the record, I still say that SJWs are mad annoying and a lot of censorship happened because of them. As you know, SJWs tend to complain about certain social disparities where there are none. And when it comes to video games, they complain about women not being represented enough, complaining about scantily clad women, lack of fat characters, etc. Not to forget the time when they accused Jurassic World and Blade Runner 2049 of being sexist. The controversy of Apu Nahasa Prima Pedalon in The Simpsons, that episode of The Boondocks getting banned, that episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force getting banned, Pepe Le Pew banned from Space Jam 2, attacking Speedy Gonzales, accusing shows like Friends of being racist for not being diverse enough, calling the show Cobra Kai cultural appropriation, and people overreacting to what Paul Stanley and Alice Cooper said about trans kids, despite what they said was not transphobic at all. When it comes to SJWs, the people that come into my mind are those like Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, Francesca Ramsey, Jonathan McIntosh, Adam Sessler, Frost Curran, Riley Dennis, Christy Winters, Benjamin O'Keefe, etc. Not to forget the women from that 36 Questions BuzzFeed video and the ones from the MTV New Year's Resolutions for White Guys. These people added more fuel to the fire when it comes to fighting to end bigotry, to be honest with y'all. A lot of the SJW stuff seems to have died down, and they have seemingly become the lesser of two evils. And I gotta say that right now, the anti-SJWs are a lot worse. Every time they see something that they don't like, they always make the overused hashtag #GetWokeGoBroke. We all know that the favorite buzzwords of SJWs, or as I call them, woke scolds, are the following: problematic, toxic, rape culture, microaggression, cultural appropriation, and any type of ist or phobe. As for the anti-SJWs, their favorite buzzwords are woke, political, identity politics, and propaganda. They use these words whenever they see some diversity in the media. How are anti-SJWs bigots? Simple. Every time a new movie, show, comic book, or video game gets announced that features a woman, a BIPOC, or LGBT as a protagonist, they get riled up thinking that it's all about pushing an agenda when that is not the case. Most of these people often associate themselves with far-right figures like Ben Shapiro, Dinesh D'Souza, Lauren Chen, Lauren Southern, Alex Jones, Candace Owens, and Matt Walsh, which pretty much says all about them. Now, here are 3 different reasons for why anti-SJWs are worse than SJWs themselves. Number 1. Diversity in media. Anti-SJWs are always taking issue with women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ characters entirely. However, they use the I have a black, Latino, Asian friend and I have a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer friend as an excuse to deflect criticism against them. When it comes to diversity in media, anti-SJWs created this paranoid and delusional belief that studios just want to shove their politics down everyone's throats when that is not the case. Like the time when a character in the movie Dune was race and gender swapped, they got riled up. The same goes for when Ariel was played by a black woman in the live-action Little Mermaid movie. Not to forget that they've been hating on the upcoming live-action Snow White movie, mainly because the actress portraying the character is a Latina woman, Rachel Zegler. And because this new Snow White movie is not about her dreaming about true love, but becoming a leader. The Netflix series She-Ra and the Princesses of Power was bashed by them because Adora did not look feminine enough when she was like 14 years old in the beginning. They get riled up for the inclusion of LGBTQ characters, and they think that Glimmer being plump is sending some fat acceptance message. These people also got uptight with a Protect Trans Kids sign in Across the Spider-Verse, and when April was portrayed as black in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Yet when movies with white cis male leads get announced and do well, they consider it non-woke even when the film has political undertones. To debunk them about diversity pushing an agenda, listen well to this. Lots of old cartoons and shows like the Star Trek series, G.I. Joe, Captain Planet and the Planeteers, Power Rangers, X-Men, Winx Club, Princess Starla and the Jewel Riders, Totally Spies, and Witch have a diverse cast, but are pretty apolitical. Bravestar was a Native American hero and pretty apolitical. Hell, modern shows like Craig of the Creek, Amphibia, The Owl House, The Ghost of Molly McGee, Jade Armor, and Haley's On It have leads of color and feature diverse casts but are pretty apolitical as well. Another favorite example of mine when it comes to diverse protagonists in cartoons, Static Shock. They also talk about the 2016 Ghostbusters movie with an all-female team. They say that the movie was all about the message and pushing an agenda. The movie was bad, yes, but not because of what the anti-SJW said. The movie was bad due to poor writing, unfunny jokes, and trying way too hard to live up to the spirit of the original movie. I still remember how the SJWs called James Rolfe a sexist for not wanting to see the movie. He pointed out how the movie looked bad, and he was not being sexist about it. But of course, SJWs love to take things out of context and think themselves morally superior than everybody else. Diversity is pretty important because it can help people see themselves in these fictional worlds. As a Latino myself, we need more than just Dora and Diego. I enjoyed Victor and Valentino, and I could put my youngest niece and nephew to watch the cartoon Alma's Way. I was also excited to see that Blue Beetle was a Latino in the movie, which was a huge step in the world of superhero movies. So like I said, they think that this inclusion and diversity is all about the message when that is not the case. What these anti-SJWs do by ranting about diversity and inclusion in the media is that they want more money. That's all. Number 2, anti-SJWs are hypocrites. We know that SJWs are the type of people who will block you on social media whenever you debunk many of their words and not engage in conversation with you. That much we do know. They try to protect themselves from people challenging their views, ideas, and beliefs by blocking them on social media. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that some people are just acting tough by making threats of physical violence if they ever saw an SJW on the street or any other public area. SJWs tend to block people on social media to protect themselves from listening to inconvenient facts or reasonable criticisms. This can make conversations with them impossible. They don't want to talk with you, they want to talk at you. Because you're supposed to shut up, listen, and believe, because according to their underlying theory, any story that is inconsistent with their approved discourse has already been told and upholds unjust power dynamics. Chances are you'll be insulted and accused of moral failures, participation in systems of oppression, racism, or sexism, and the conversation will go nowhere. It's all agree with me or else to them. But anti-SJWs are no different. How so? Most anti-SJWs claim to respect other people's thoughts, beliefs, and opinions, but their attitudes and behavior suggest otherwise. Like that time when Zack Snyder said that he was not supportive of geeks and gamers for his biases and negative attitude. Rightfully so. Geeks and gamers then called Snyder a virtue signaler for that. Another particular person said insensitive things about his late daughter, Autumn, and that was not very cool. I'm not naming any names, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. Anyways, as you know, they often tell people to stop forcing their leftist politics on everyone's throats, but they have no qualms about a movie or a show having some far-right moments in these forms of entertainment. What's really hypocritical of them is that they say that brand new characters should be created instead of shoehorning originally established ones, but they still complain about them in new original media. They also say that they should create original stories with women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ, and they still complain about these original stories being too woke. Another example of their hypocrisy is that they claim to like strong female characters, but when it comes to characters like Rey Skywalker and Captain Marvel, they call them Mary Sue. They despise Mary Sue characters, yet don't seem to mind men being Gary Stu characters. An original movie, show, or video game with a strong female character is announced, they cry how she is a Mary Sue, and that it's going to be full of man-bashing agendas. Last but not least, about their hypocrisy, when it comes to LGBTQ characters in a movie, show, or video game, when two men kiss and get it on, they say that they're pushing the gay agenda. Yet they seem to have no qualms when two women kiss and get it on. Two men kiss and get it on, they're like, ugh, so disgusting and gross, they're pushing the gay agenda. Two women kiss and get it on, they're like, oh yeah, it's so hot and sexy. I wish I was between those two. That's the explanation of their hypocrisy. They claim that they don't mind LGBTQ characters in these forms of entertainment, but it's not just about the romance and intimacy that they show hypocrisy, but also when a game gives players the choice of pronouns and gender identity, that's when they explode like this guy right here.
Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit!
Wow. Like I said before, if you don't want to be an internet laughingstock, don't do what he does. Number 3. Anti-SJWs have killed criticism. To criticize a movie, show, or video game is to point out what was good, what was bad, and what was lacking in terms of acting, writing, visuals, story, character development, cinematography, etc. That's how you make a legit criticism in these forms of entertainment. I truly miss the times when they were criticized and deemed bad for reasons that have no relations to a political agenda. Whenever there are political themes in a movie, show, or video game, it's because art is a reflection of the real world. Now, before the SJWs and anti-SJWs ruined criticism of media with their toxicity, there were people ruining criticism of media as well. Long ago, there were people saying how this movie, show, or video game was satanic. They said music from the Beatles, Kiss, Metallica, Black Sabbath, and Marilyn Manson were satanic mainly because of what they said in an interview or because of the makeup that they wore, and often pinned the blame on them for mass shootings in school or any other public area. When it came to roleplay games and video games, these people said that Dungeons & Dragons, Doom, Pokemon, and Dante's Inferno were all satanic games. These ultra-conservative Christians are the same type of people in this day and age who say that young people and leftists are too easily offended. When it comes to me criticizing movies, shows, and video games, I would rather point out the good, the bad, and what was lacking in the things that I just mentioned: writing, cinematography, visuals, character development, acting, etc., etc. Now, how exactly do SJWs and anti-SJWs criticize entertainment? The SJWs would say that most old movies are bad and racist for not being, quote, diverse enough, or because one of the actors was accused of racism, or SA. Not to forget, when it comes to movies like Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, 16 Candles, and American Pie, the SJWs lash out saying that they perpetuate SA. They would boycott a movie or a show if it's not, quote, diverse enough, and call them racist and toxic masculinity like 300, 1917, Chernobyl, Lord of the Rings trilogy, etc. What's really funny is that when SJWs like a movie and people criticize its flaws, they can name call people with any type of ist or foe. Yes, these criticisms from the SJWs are mad annoying, condescending, and stupid. But now, the anti-SJWs have bulldozed criticism more than the SJWs ever did before. Because every time there's a movie or a show that is announced, they think that it's gonna be woke when it has not even been released yet. And not only that, they'll say that the movie, show, or video game is going to promote identity politics, and
the message.
They say Rings of Power was woke because of having black elves and dwarves in it. They also said how the new Star Wars show, The Acolyte, was woke because there is a fat character, lesbian characters, and BIPOC characters. They cried about The Last of Us pushing an agenda with Bill and Frank's love story a year ago, and dared to call Neil Druckmann Neil Cuckman. I'm not saying any names, but a well-known YouTuber who calls everything woke made a bad review of Tears of the Kingdom and made anti-Semitic comments about Nintendo as well. Not to mention he called Fallout woke for race mixing and that Hades 2 is woke because of a female protagonist. He criticized Baldur's Gate 3 for having gay scenes, which only triggers if you lean on that sexuality. Saying that a movie, show, or video game is bad because it's not diverse enough, because it has toxic masculinity, because it has too many women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ characters, because it's woke with leftist ideology forced down our throats, that is not criticism. It's nothing more than a gutless and bigoted whine and wanting to prevent people from seeing themselves and relating to someone and just enjoying the movie, show, or video game. Whatever happened to, if you don't like it, don't watch it or play it? It really sucks how criticism is now hitting on a form of entertainment because they think it's either woke in the case of anti-SJWs or problematic in the case of SJWs. Some people will tell me that I have gone woke/SJW since I left and started criticizing the anti-SJW crowd. But the truth is, me leaving the anti-SJW crowd is not about becoming a woke scold. It's about finding middle ground and becoming reasonable rather than resorting to extremes. I already said the names of people I think of when it comes to woke scolds, but the people I think of when it comes to anti-SJWs are the following: The Quartering, No BS, Clownfish TV, One Angry Gamer, Josiah Rices, Nerdrotic, Doomcock, Geeks and Gamers, Melanie Mack, Young Ripa, Tyrone Magnus, Heel vs. Babyface, Lauren Chen, Anna That Star Wars Girl, Mecha Random 42, Vera Dark, Ryan Kinnell, and Synthetic Man. As for the latter, you're gonna have a field day with that one. A wise man once said, "Be careful fighting monsters lest you want to become one, and when you gaze into the abyss gazes into you." Both SJWs and anti-SJWs are monsters who don't want to have a civil and reasonable conversation like sharing our own views and opinions and also agreeing to disagree and vice versa without attacking and harming each other. When I was in the anti-SJW crowd, I was very angry and very toxic as well. But then my family told me to tone it down because if you resort to that kind of toxicity, then you're no better than your opponents. It's better to find a balance and middle ground. So yeah, just because I left the anti-SJW crowd is not because I went woke and was corrupted by SJWs. The choice was mine and mine alone because I saw the anti-SJW for what they truly are: hypocritical and bigoted. When it comes to the field of entertainment, both woke scolds and the anti-SJW just love to suck the joy out of everything. It gets to a point where I cannot even enjoy something peacefully anymore. It gets to a point where a lot of people cannot even enjoy something peacefully anymore. They drain the fun out of everything, constantly complaining about something that they saw and got offended over for the sake of being offended or because they think it's woke. Anti-SJWs lash out in the following ways when it comes to entertainment, as I said before. If there's a female protagonist, it's feminist propaganda full of man-bashing agendas and it's anti-male. The female protagonist is a Mary Sue that does not go into the steps of the hero's journey. If there's a black, Latino, or Asian protagonist, it's anti-white. If there's an LGBTQ protagonist, they lash out thinking that it's pushing an agenda. A video game has a choice of pronouns, they lash out. If they see a BLM mural in a video game, they lash out and want a refund. If they see LGBTQ pride and inclusion flags in a video game, movie, and TV show, they lash out thinking it's woke and want a refund. There is some type of left-wing message, they lash out. It's a constant lashing out of accusing video games movies, and TV shows of being woke, political, and pushing an agenda. The word woke has been so overused in the wrong way that it lost its original meaning. It used to mean being aware of systemic injustices and social inequalities. I explained the history and origin of the term on the first part of my video essay, Have Video Games Gone Woke? Link in the description. Now, when it comes to being racist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic, the anti-SJWs don't try to hide it. They are not afraid to show it. They are like wolves that can chew through anything. As for the woke scolds, they hide their racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia by being condescending and by virtue signaling as well. They're like foxes in sheep's clothing that pretend to smile in order to ensnare their prey. So, if there's an SJW who decides to leave the circle without any intent of being an anti-SJW, it's because they see that their group is very toxic and annoying. And vice versa, when an anti-SJW decides to leave their circle without any intent of joining the SJWs. What both circles hate more than their enemies is that there is one who thinks differently. It is not so much the opinion itself, but the audacity of wanting to think for themselves. Something that they do not know how to do. That is what is called, as I explained in some videos, crab mentality. Both woke scolds and anti-SJWs are crabs that hate it when one of their own decides to think for themselves and will do anything to drag them down into their collective misery. Recently, I discovered on Steam, and I have a Steam too, by the way, link in the description, that there is this group calling themselves the Woke Content Detector. That group made a list of video games that they warned gamers about wokeness and woke messaging in video games, all because it has LGBT people, non-white, and women. I totally had to laugh my ass off because they included Street Fighter 6 in that one. Now, this warning you see in the picture is in almost every old movie aired on MTV or any other channel nowadays, and I find it pretty stupid since they just love to get offended. But then, the Woke Content Detector group is now trying to attempt the same crap, saying how anything that has a female protagonist, a black protagonist, a Latino protagonist, an Asian protagonist, and an LGBTQ protagonist and themes as well, they say that it's woke and has forced diversity. Sickening. So finally, to wrap this up, it is a good thing that I have left the anti-SJWs. The woke scolds are still as annoying as ever, yet their relevancy and woke scolding seem to have died down. Unfortunately, too much censorship occurred because of them. But now, the anti-SJWs are worse due to how they are constantly pointing out wokeness where there is none. Had I not left that circle, I would be just as bad or even worse saying such ugly things about people. The year 2020 during the quarantine and the COVID-19 outbreak, it served as a time to reflect about the good things done in the past and present as well as the bad. Praise for the good things and repent for all the ills of the past and present. It was my time to self-reflect of where I stood. And that's when I left the circle shortly after the incident of The Last of Us Part 2. It's been 4 years since I have left the anti-SJW circle, and I have no intention of returning. Hell, I have no intention of siding with the woke scolds either, because we all know that they're mad annoying and irritating, giving negative labels, and they're hypocrites too. However, like I said, a lot of the stuff of the woke scolds seems to have died down, which I am glad for. Yet they're still mad annoying, but the anti-SJWs are now the greater evil, and the woke scolds have become the lesser of two evils, it seems. On one hand, the woke scolds are right about fighting for a more fair and equitable society, and it's necessary to call out racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia. But on the other hand, I am not one to join these people, especially since they're full of zealotry, and they like to dictate and think themselves as the final arbiters of what is acceptable and unacceptable in the field of entertainment. Anyways, thanks for listening and stay safe everyone. This is John of Video Games and the World signing off.